Okay, hello. Sorry for the delay there, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Delay was for the purposes of figuring out exactly what we're doing here, because it sounds like maybe one of those situations where the dreaded 3v4 may in fact be happening momentarily. So, as per usual, we're going to roll with it. Do have some handful of games tonight. They're all kind of an hour apart, though. Granted, there's two right now. One here on Channel 3, obviously. We got ourselves Heatwave and Envy. Over on Channel 2, however, there is a scheduled match set to begin. Actually checking on that right now and see if it has yet for you. And looks like perhaps soon it's going to be Risky Raiders versus Error 404. Still got a couple different options, but if you're joining me on this one, well, here we are with Envy and Heatwave, and I am Palidore, your caster and cameraman. Over on Channel 2, it's Dimwee camming and casting on that one. But yeah, so given here, I'm listening to some of the comms. They're not unmuted for the stream, but I hear them in my ear. And yeah, it looks like some players may be possibly unaware on the Envy side there that there was a match even going to start. Quite unfortunate. So it will be maybe a 3v4 at worst here. I'm hoping that's something that they can solve for here, but yeah, teams here discussing it. But, you know, these things, they do tend to happen, especially in the initial weeks. And with that being the case, we're just going to roll. Let's see. DBD is the best. My team says, or my team Heatwave is, I'm Horo Potato. Princess saying I confuse when I was hosting the other channel. Wait, what? What does that mean? What did I do? When you mean when this channel was hosting VRML 2, or is it still doing that? I'm confused now. I know we have it set to auto host when the channel's offline, but is it actually hosting now? That'd be unusual. I was hosting the other channel. Huh. I got you. So yeah, because there's two matches going on right now. So on Channel 2, there is a Sir Dimwee there casting that match. I'm over here on this one. But again, due to the present issues here, kind of roster-wise, we're just going to have to be delayed. Always unfortunate on that end, but, you know, got to give them the time. They're allotted up to 15 minutes. For the rest of the day, we do have, again, a match at the top of the hour, just taking a look. At about an hour from now, there will be Wolves versus Carbon. That's going to be on Channel 2. 2 hours from now, it's Hydro and Anomaly going to be on Channel 1. And then an hour after that, Creamy Milk versus Chaos on Channel 1. So, got a little bit of everything there. Alright, so, let's see, more people hopping in there. Got DBD again saying, hope my team Heatwave can win this. You're on vacation. Well, enjoy the vacation. Hopefully Heatwave can take the game here. Sure, they're hoping for it. At the moment for Envy, they're just trying to find some more roster members. Bird friend in there saying, I know President Gamer too. Well, he is the gaming president after all. Although not playing in this match, I don't think. At the very least, not on the roster, so. The TTV sitting there, saying hi to Potato, and now suddenly we do have a fourth. All right, well in that case, before we actually start, the teams do need to get rid of one on the Heatwave side, so need to go communicate with that on the Discord end of things. Alright, sorry about that. Was just trying to type into the Discord there. And make sure that they get the extra person outside of the game. Because of course you can have up to 6 players on a team roster, but you're not allowed to have any more than 4 in the actual match at any given time per team. You can switch. I know that was actually a question that came up a couple times today. You can actually switch out rostered members in between rounds, for instance, but it still would require you dropping one of the players first and then inviting and bringing in the replacement. So as it stands right here, well, that's not good. 912 ping, 600 ping. Well, ideally for them that goes away, but in any case, the teams have been informed they can start when the 5th does drop out. So on that note, always happy to stream, especially these new teams, but please do make sure that you do read the rules and go over those kind of things as well, and you know, keep yourselves up to date. No, it's a little bit lengthy. I'd be lying if I said I knew all the rules completely by heart, but at least the important ones. Make sure you have a broad understanding just in terms of, you know, how the stream process works. Make sure all that is taken care of, because now we have a 5 versus 5. We have 10 people in the arena, and I'm just sitting here unable to do anything about it. Especially without the pings coming through. So, you know, the struggles of a new season and some new teams, I do suppose. And I'm just here, powerless. And drinking some Dr. Pepper. But, yes, so yeah, to clarify, and Princess AG in the chat there is one of our league moderators as well. Doesn't actually have mod permissions right now on this channel. Probably should take care of that. But nonetheless, yeah, so what Princess said over there. Only people allowed into a VRML match at any given time is 4 members of your team, so 8 players total. And then any extras, they have to be VRML officials, so league moderators or casters, things like that. But you definitely can't have extra players present in the server or in spectator. Reasoning behind that, of course, maybe not immediately obvious, but it does open the door to cheating and things like that, because you could have extra players in the spec feeding live information, callouts and positions and things like that to their team through private calls. So that's why we only allow the 4 players, active players per team. Now, you can still record and stream if you're one of the players that are playing in the match from your first-person perspective, so you can record all that, and then if nothing else, it's actually encouraged. That way you have some reference on things like scores and etc. Now, one of the players dipped, but they did go into spectator, which again, not allowed, so I'll have to send one more ping here in a second. But yes, if this match does end up hopefully starting soon, you know, looking forward to streaming it, but again, it cannot start like this. Otherwise, mods will need to hammer down on that, and no one likes that, so please. And as Princess is pointing out too, about 2 minutes till start time. On this one, you are allowed ultimately up to 15 minutes past the start time to begin your match if there are difficulties getting your roster together and whatnot. And there is a lot of discussion going on in the open comms, but again, I have those muted for the stream, although I can hear it in my ears what they're discussing in there, and they're kind of trying to organize amongst themselves. So for the teams who are, you know, newer and wanting to get streamed and things like that, again, definitely a good thing to be aware of all the rule sets and kind of get that stuff organized, you know, before the match starts. Not trying to reprimand, but just saying. I know there's a lot of teams who kind of on the daily are asking about the streaming and wanting to get streamed. So if you are going to be featured, make sure you are prepared before we do get going. But like I said, it happens. You know, it's only the first couple weeks and there's 100 new teams, so little things are bound to happen. I don't mind it all that much, but it still is, you know, within reason that I have to at least remind you on the stream, so when they're looking back at this later, they can kind of get a better idea of how to better handle it next time. Now, that said, we're going to go right to the game now here, as we do have the spectators exited. We have 4 on each side of the floor, and off we go. So Envy and Heatwave are starting here. Mr. Gamer with a disc trying to sling it over, and will be taken here by Sydney. Now Sydney getting that clear off to the opposite side.
You got it?
And just looking to obtain it.
Okay, hang on. I don't want to play Permagoal. Like, Permagoal
So Neon Phoenix with the disc over here, trying to work it on in, losing it out. And on the side wall will be taken back by Albino, looking for a cross pass over to the other end. Be taken over here and then right back at him though. Do you think I'm a girl? I don't know. You tell me, but Think has the disc. I think I'll just go with that. Over to the bounce. Is it going to go in? That's very, very close. Fortunately, it does not go in there. Fortunately for Envy, that is, as they do take place inside the goal. All the meanwhile, Mr. Gamer with the disc. Gonna get it here at the midline. Now, off that corner panel, it's going to be taken here and slung back out to the midfield. Will be Neon Phoenix retaining and sending it right through. Now some grabs are going to go on as they do try to engage in those stacks, but ultimately we'll be coming away with it here, Mr. Gamer, and then up high to the top ramp and back to the waiting hands of, well, nobody. So they're going to go racing for it here in the goal. A very speedy stack coming through, but a great grab from Mr. Gamer. Quite the nice reception there. Looking like that stack was going to get them the goal, but in fact, did not. So denying them very nicely here as Think gets the disc. Now has it taken by Albino Paper, and Albino gets the clear. So off to the mid lane, and Sydney just dodging Mr. Gamer there might have an opportunity as they await the teammates to rejoin. Now up there on that top stack, some punches going through, but look at that from Mr. Gamer. So very nice job to just deny. And now they're just going to attempt to rush on that disc here, all piling up here in the corner. But all the meanwhile, we'll just continue to bounce around. Now back over on the top ramp, going to bounce there. A little bit of a grab and boost coming in from Think. But Think gets a disc and gets a clear. Meanwhile, the blue team here for Heatwave doing a pretty good job of collecting on those stacks a little bit faster, it would seem, and getting to the disc first. So Neon Phoenix with it, but loses it. So Champion VR swinging in for a nice full extension there. With that wingspan, just dunking it home from a meter out. So first 2 points go in favor of Envy. All right, so Joust advantage now going to Heatwave. Again, was impressed with their stacks, but now kind of up to them to make it work on the offensive end here and offer that rebuttal on the point side of things as they do get a clear right on through. That said, will be stolen by Champion, and Champion trying to work it into the goal. And that could have actually been in off that awkward bounce. That said, it will be saved out, but right back to the awaiting hands of Envy. And Envy distributing, cutting very nicely here, and shooting. It's Haley with the goal. It's 4 points, about 4 minutes in, approaching that at least. And nice, just working right into the goal. Didn't really give any time for the defense to get fully balanced. You can see just approaching that head on and The defense unable to save that one. So first couple goals favoring Envy. All right, so on the launch, we'll be taken right back here by Heatwave, falling behind by a couple goals, but still plenty of time to spare, 6 minutes of course, and still just the first rounder. Bottom outside of the bubble now, taken back. A couple different players here collecting for Envy, and they're going to try and reorganize if possible. Now up at the mid lane, coming away with it, and actually having it taken away there. So 3 different players all assaulting that Heatwave player. And now for Envy, they're going to go through. See, I'm a little bit confused just because I keep wanting to say Envy's on the, or Heatwave's on the orange side just because it's more fire themed and whatnot. So I have to correct myself on the fly a little bit, but over by the wedge will be that aforementioned team Envy getting the disc. So do you think having it lost and Neon Phoenix trying to think of a way to score some points here, but having it stolen back and back again? There's Albino. Albino does need to link up rather quickly, else that could be dangerous. Now, retaining it is going to be Sydney, and unable to convert. That was a very, very close shot, nearly onto the goal. Would have been a good hit. Still another chance. So great steal here by Sydney, but Sydney having it stolen just as well from Do You Think. Now, Think with a disc, needing to avoid that stack of blue players here on Heatwave. And they're going to get that light boost towards the goal. Meanwhile, they have that perma goalie sitting here in the back line. Still 4:38 remaining in this match. First round of this match, that is to say, as climbing up all over for the steal was Neon Phoenix, but then losing it out here to Mr. Gamer in the back line. So going for a bowling ball shot of sorts, and the anchor shot following that one. So a heavy dosage of offense coming in now from Envy. And it was Do You Think I'm a Girl? Assisted by Mr. Gamer. And getting that assisted goal. So very nice off that shield, the barrier area, that is to say. And they're going to continue to roll here. All right, so on this launch, attempting to gather again, but just retaining it, Champion VR. Trying to be just that, a champion of this match if they can. Walking it into the goal, walking in for a shot, but a little too far out, so Thermal Turbo will get the nice save. Now as they make their way back out here, and another collection by Mr. Gamer in that back line, so he's had a couple of those now consecutively, doing a good job of it. But all the meanwhile, just continuing that back and forth play here. Now for these teams, definitely one of those occasions where over time you'd recommend, getting the spacing out, looking for more passes like that pass right there. A little strong, but soft enough to catch on that second attempt off the backboard, softly in sailing for the Neon Phoenix. Nice way to get those first couple points. Very nice, in fact. But doing exactly that. That's what I mean. Getting the passing lanes open, and the pass there. Maybe not hitting the first intended target, that first cutter, but because it was soft enough and the positioning was good enough from Heatwave and from Neon, it was that second catch on the upper side that was able to occur and got them that first goal. So Albino Paper now with a disc looking for a deep clear, and it's kind of those ones, especially here with these teams who do employ the kind of perma goalie situation, does make it dangerous. Haley, now that's a very dangerous goalkeeper right there, getting the save in. So on this boost, a very nice fly-in coming by from Champion, but denied. Not sure if that was off a head or just a direct save, but either or. Playing the defense and getting the clear right back. Will ricochet back out, bouncing into the pocket left side as Champion collects it and avoids Albino, as well as Sydney here. Just the same, Do You Think needs to avoid Neon Phoenix, because without that, well, it's a steal instead. Now, all the meanwhile, the boosts are going to come on in. Being taken here by a couple players. Albino has a little time. The handoff very nicely. Just, again, slightly off of the mitts of the receiver, but it was still a very good look and a good attempt there. I do like Heatwave going for the passing plays as they can and trying to eye that positional play. And it's going to be to your benefit, even if you miss, even if mechanically, maybe the pass is too short or too strong. But if you're going for the right plays, the mechanics, that stuff comes over time, and you'll get better at it. But if you prioritize that early like Heatwave is, you know, it's only up from there. Speaking of, it's Neon going up from down below. And it's a 2-point game. So Neon Phoenix, back-to-back goals for their team here on Heatwave. 1 minute left, so not out of the woods. And Envy definitely needs to take care of the disc here, lest they suffer that comeback opportunity from Heatwave. Definitely trying to lock down on the defensive clamps and find themselves one more goal. So we'll see how it unfolds here with last 60 seconds. There's the quick joust. The speed, very intense. But on the bottom of the floor there will be retained by Champion. Now on a second attempt, swinging in from the left side this time. And will not be denied. We saw that earlier from Champion about a minute or two ago. Was denied there off the body of one of the defenders just a minute ago. But yeah, that time, sticking with the guns and getting it done. So with 30 seconds remaining and a 2-goal advantage here, will be that first round victory going in favor of Envy. So as this does get lost here in the mid a bit, retained and sent back out. Maybe a chance at one more goal will be tough. 8 seconds left. And as one more clear goes through from Albino, that will indeed conclude this first round. So going here in the favor of the orange team of Envy. I'm sure for Heatwave, envying that a little bit, hoping they get themselves some more scores in that next one, because their offense was definitely looking, you know, for the right plays, the right passes, but just couldn't quite finish on some of those. But that's perfectly okay. The mechanics are right, so as long as they sustain that, or rather the concepts are right, so as long as they sustain that, they should have a more effective round 2, I think. But in any case, we're going to head over to the score screen, and it hopefully will show up here. Oh, that's not good. The next round, I promise it'll show up. In any case, I'm going to, let's see. We got 4 points for Champion VR. 2 points for Haley, and 2 for Do You Think I'm a Girl over on Envy. So 3 out of the 4 players getting on the score sheet, which is quite nice for them. 1 assist for Mr. Gamer, as well as a save and 6 stuns. Meanwhile, over on the blue side for Heatwave, it was 4 points for Neon Phoenix, 1 assist, 1 save for Albino Paper, as well as 9 stuns. 5 stuns for Sydney. Now, that said, it looks like in this mid-round, I'm kind of curious if they're trying to get another player or not, or if a timeout will be set, because Heatwave just actually lost a player, and it's currently looking to be 3v4, unless something changes imminently. And just as I say that, there it is. So, looking at that reset, and for Heatwave, they're trying to find either the return of whoever crashed, or maybe a sub. Not quite sure. They do have a full 6-person roster on Heatwave. And we obviously saw a plethora of players getting in on the server before the match did start, so I can expect that maybe we'll be seeing one of those players return there. Hopefully. But in the meantime, being that the match didn't start yet, or the second round didn't start yet, taking just kind of that 5 minutes in between period, I suppose, which teams are indeed allotted. And on that note, I'll at least get it here up on the overlay for you. But yeah, pretty close first round. I mean, just a 2-goal differential. Pulling away late there was Envy with some good goals, but later into the match, you know, we had those back-to-back goals for Neon Phoenix, and you definitely saw the passing concepts at work. But yeah, Envy just doing a good job to kind of collapse on that offense and really get those goals going for them. But that said, we do have, as you can see there on the overlay, the 4th player joining here for Heatwave, so perhaps getting started up soon, we do hope. And see how that goes. See Thermal in the chat actually there on Twitch saying their sub is going to be taking his place as goalie this round. And okay, yeah, not a problem. So as long as which we'll revisit here, I suppose, as long as there's no extra players in spec or anything like that, yep, that's perfectly fine. Using that rostered sub member of sorts, or not really a sub so much as an alternate player, and you're allowed up to 6 players on a team. So, yeah, some teams have been doing that, whether it was for tech issues or otherwise, switching out players in between the rounds where they're able. But yeah, with that said, actually now a perhaps accidental team switch, I think was the case. So there you go. So switching back, it happens from time to time. That pesky terminal. Easy to sometimes press those buttons accidentally if you're not too careful. So, nonetheless, we've got ourselves a continuation of this match here in the second round now, starting off officially. And swooping in is Mr. Gamer. So, Gamer going for the clear right up the ramp. But Sydney will be on the other end, just awaiting that one without too much of an issue. All the meanwhile, in the bottom of the ramp, going into the mid lane, Champion VR will obtain it. And looking for that light boost, though, is Sydney. And does get actually Kip Up Kid coming in here in the second round for Heatwave, and they're able to get the clear. But that said, right back again, ping-ponging to Do You Think I'm a Girl? And trying to space out, some nice passing play. I do like that one. Needs to be careful, though, so those are the cases where definitely some comms would come in handy, because being taken off guard otherwise by the stun. Luckily, though, Mr. Gamer will yet again here in the back line going to play for that disc and get that midfield interception, which is definitely one of those things that are very conducive to team, victories and efforts. Getting those second chance opportunities whenever you lose a disc, having that backliner at play. Of course, more and more, we do see still kind of a perma-goalie situation here with Haley in the back line. And just as well, I think on the opposite side is we do have sort of a perma-goalie. So we're seeing that from some of these teams. And right there, not going to pay off. It's Do You Think I'm a Girl? Well, thinking they've got themselves the goal at the very least. So 2 points go in favor Envy first in this second round. But yeah, I would say more over time. As teams get more ingrained into competition and familiar with the meta, you do tend to see them bring their their goalies, their perma-goalies, more to the midfield once they're on offense. It gives you those options on the back passes, a.k.a. kind of the resets as, oh, look, that shot just set, but slightly off. That looked good at first, but barely missing that one back to the mid lane. But yeah, when you do have a midfield player on offense, so like right here, you always have the option to kind of back it out. So if you're under too much pressure, or you really don't like the kind of the drive opportunities you have on offense, or you're starting to be pressured too much by the defense, you can always back it out to someone here in the midfield, right around this area or in the tunnels. And when you do that, it does enable you to, calm it down, reset it, reposition, maybe win some brawls and stun out some people, and therefore get kind of numbers advantages. It's really just kind of endless limits to the Echo meta that continues to unfold over time. It definitely took time for people to learn to do that in the PC version of things. And Quest players and Quest teams all around have been learning at a much accelerated rate compared to the vast majority of PC players back in the day. And I say that like it's a really long time ago. It's really not. I mean, 3 years, it's simultaneously long and short, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, in the scope of this, Echo Arena, there's a lot of time, a lot of great shots there, and a little applause coming in as well. So, but Neon Phoenix, that's the third score, so all the points here for Heatwave across the 2 rounds have indeed come on behalf of the Neon Phoenix, showing that offensive capability for sure. Yeah, going back to what I was saying, though, Echo Arena very much a sport equivalent. It is in VR, obviously, but the physicality and the team play, the positioning, everything is very, very reminiscent of a real-life sport. I think the closest gaming equivalent is probably Rocket League, but even then, conceptually a bit similar. Of course, mechanically, much more in common with something like basketball, football, hockey, soccer, things like that. Just in terms of how you want to kind of play the positioning and the prioritizing passing, things like that. Takes an awfully long time, though. Kind of mentioned it in some of the previous streams, really, for the first, in 2017. For the first 6 months, probably, there were very few teams who really grasped passing metas and things like that. So the fact that we were seeing so many teams like that, I mean, that's a just fundamentally great pass. Good job here from Heatwave. That was Albino delivering to Sydney up on the nest. But that's exactly what I mean. Most teams in early Echo Arena weren't able to recognize those passes and go for those positional plays. I mean, the nest and the barrier right here, very, very good place to go for some offensive opportunities. And the reason for that, as I'll try to point out here in a moment, as we don't want to take away from the gameplay, but thing is, when you are deep in the goal here and driving on it, if you come in from head on like this, from the barrier or the nest, you receive the pass, and then you try diving in, you have a lot of different angles that you can shoot from. You can paint every single corner. You can throw the disc at every single corner of the goalie, above, below, side to side. You have options. Whereas if you try driving in from tougher angles, as this disc does get cleared, like from these corners, you can see your options are a lot lower. You don't have as big of a window to shoot into. And therefore, it makes it much harder for the offense to convert. It makes it easier for the defense to save. So anytime you can see teams going for those passes up to barrier, up to nest, or to the backboard, it just offers them the best possible chance at a high percentage goal. So that's kind of the mentality behind that for the newer teams out there kind of wondering how to get it done. So I have actually seen a good amount of that here, including, again, from Heatwave, you saw them positioning up at the nest, at the shoulder, so great areas to receive a pass and look for those crosses. For them, they're going to get back, but actually Envy, so showing their just potential on the speed end of things, which they've been doing pretty well of as well. And able to get a recovery, though, is going to be Albino. So 4 minutes left and a 2-point lead for Heatwave. Heatwave is going to attempt for another goal, but will be taken back by Do You Think? And over at Sydney, or to Sydney, rather, getting the disc, but was going to be a dangerous fling given the goalie there. Now for a much more calculated pass as someone phases in and out of existence, it looks like for Envy, so kind of unfortunate there, but I think back into the game now, so maybe just a brief connection problem going through. Just as I say that, a deep clear or shot, but you see those perma goalies, they're going to just be able to obtain that disc with ease. So great punch here, Champion coming away with it, but stealing it right back as Sydney immediately on the fling, off to that left side. And we'll go off that corner panel to the side wall now, where the speed coming in from Envy, attempting to get that disc right back and immediately flinging there. And see, in this situation too, so when you do have those scrambles for the disc, you do have that perma goalie, so a great option there for Envy would have been to just back pass it a little bit. But you can see, since they don't have any midfielder now available for the pass, their front line, as they get really heavily pressured here with the brawls, they have nowhere to go. And so that's why, for the teams, if they're watching this later, just kind of as a little bit of coaching advice and whatnot, definitely start bringing up those goalies from the goalkeeping end. Bring them to the back line or into the mid line. So right here, if they manage to get that offense going and work it to the orange side for Heatwave, they're going to want to bring their player up a little bit here. So they have that extra passing option to just reset and take their time. But otherwise here for Heatwave, they're going to try for this offensive opportunity. Kind of the same thing applies. You see they do actually bring a midliner up there now, so a very good look for them. But that's what I mean. You bring someone up to the midfield. Once it gets too crazy and congested, you have your options to reset. They are going to go for that nest pass, which they've been prioritizing, but great save from Haley. Love to see that goalkeeping at work here from these rookie teams. Now up high on that stack, returning for the disc is Heatwave, and into the goal is Kip Up. Subbing in here kind of the alternate for the second round. With less than 2 minutes left, it looks like it may be in favor, perhaps, of Heatwave. But for Envy, they already took the first round by 4 points, and seeing if they can do that again right here. Just come back with a couple late round scores to maybe take the sweep if possible. So they do have the disc going for a very bold shot. Will just bounce all around back to the backboard barrier and into the hands of the carrier, which is to say Albino. With that disc now needing to look for the grab and the boost, they do. So Albino, very nice speed. Neon Phoenix just as well. Some very nice mobility. Almost said nobility. And I guess from a team play sense, absolutely. Team play is a noble thing, after all. But nonetheless, the bounces now with 1 minute remaining. And one disc at hand. The backliner here will try to obtain it, but thinking it's a little bit too risky, so opts to go right back into the goal. All the meanwhile, the awaiting stack all converges at the same point. And Mr. Gamer, the disc now approaching, but a steal here, midfield from Sydney. So 40 seconds left, and retrieving it is Haley. They're going to need to really be aggressive here if they want to take the second round. At this point, 30 seconds left, and down some points. They definitely want all 4 players here on this end of the floor to hopefully give themselves an opportunity at some passes, to make some moves, and things like that. And that's exactly what they do. But that said, unable to really wrangle the disc for too long. So champion VR once again collecting, attempting, but being stunned out. And it would seem here, with the clock winding down, one more grab from Albino Paper and flinging it into the opposite end. It's going to be that third round forced here, thanks to the return round for Team Heatwave, doing a nice job to not get too discouraged by the results of the first, switching up the strategy, switching up the player, and yeah, there you go, 4-2. And as a result, we will be going to that always lauded third round, and we've been seeing more and more of them as we get deeper into this second season. Saw a pair of them yesterday, in fact. One of them was at that Chaos and High Voltage match, and we will be seeing Chaos returning again here to play in a couple hours from now. Well, we'll have to check that out just in a second. But we'll go to the scores screen, take a look at what we've got to work with there. And team's a little bit jumbled up, I think, because of all the team switching. Tends to mess up the API end of things, so apologies for that. It's mostly fixed. But, you know, working with what we got here. And that's definitely an observation. When you have those accidental team switches or you have those rotations of rosters, sometimes the overlays get a little bit screwy with the way that it digs stats from the API. So that explains that. But nonetheless, great effort all around from Heatwave. Definitely paying off on that substitute there, the alternate player coming in, which is to say Kip Up. And yeah, he got, I mean, look at that, 3 saves and 1 stun just in that round alone. Neon still the leading 6 points for their team. And we are going to venture on to round 3. That is to say. So, see how this one goes. All right, so first joust of round 3 going to be knocked loose and taken by a lightly boosted player here for Envy. Some stuns coming out, and oh, just distracted enough to get the goal in. I want to say now, look at the replay there. I think that was off the head of one of Do You Think's teammates. Well, champion, that is to say, because let's see there. Yeah, it looks like that was the case. So it ricocheted, bounced between a few domes, but still found the results they wanted, which is the 2 points. So they're going to take that gladly. It's a nice job, especially just bothering that goalkeeper. Just enough, regardless, to find the shot eventually. White Knight in the chat there asking about the switch out of the player. Yes, and Thermal Turbo answering the question right there as well. But yeah, the first round did go 8-4 favoring Envy. And that's when Heatwave recollected and won 4-2 in the second round. They brought in Kip Up there, who did actually have 3 saves. So doing a nice job for his team. But all the meanwhile, Mr. Gamer with the disc going to fling it over there. It's going to bounce off a few pieces of Geo and actually maybe work its way right back to him. Will actually be Do You Think with the disc. And now positioning out here, which you do, again, like to see. So this is what I was mentioning earlier, and you do love to see that. So see, they had the backliner, the midfield option to reset to before it got too crazy, and it gave him some beautiful options here on the offense. Now that was very, very well done from Envy. So adjusting on the fly, bringing up that perma-goalie outside the goal, and you just saw that patience. You know, it was a little bit crazy here with the brawls, the stuns, so they just backed it out to their lone midfielder here. Nice and easy, no one defending that. And that enabled them to work it right back up into the bubble and get an even better look and more calmer look. And I really like that adjustment. Gotta wonder if they're listening to the stream perhaps between rounds. I have no idea, either or though. This is just lends credence to what I was saying earlier, and that these rookie teams, these Quest teams especially, I mean, they're really coming along so much faster and learning a lot faster than any of us did early on, where it took us 6 months to a year in 2017, 18, and whatnot to really collectively as a community start figuring out what really works as a meta beyond just the surface level stuff. Meanwhile, you have teams coming in and just impressing with stuff like this. There you go. That's great passing here coming in from Heatwave once and twice. Positioning very nice, and Neon Phoenix continuing to rise. Aptly named, in fact, as a Phoenix, but Heatwave with the goal. And right back at him, and it's a 4-2 here. So much quicker start offensively for both these teams, really, in the first 3 minutes of the third round. And, you know, when I see names like Heatwave, when I see names like Phoenix, for those who might have been watching recent streams, you know that I live in Arizona. I live kind of in the Phoenix area, that is to say. And day to day, I am burning up. So I can't help but feel some sense of, I don't know, some sense of family with this Heatwave team, even though I don't really know them yet too well. Casted, I think, one of their games last week as well, but I don't know. Just that whole Phoenician association. Then again, maybe I'm crazy, don't know what I'm talking about. It's the heat getting to me. But nonetheless, very, very nice job on these adjustments. And yeah, 4 minutes in, we've already got a few goals and looking to maybe be a higher scoring round. Now that said, trying to collect the disc off the bottom of the floor, just underneath that pack area, looking for a clear and getting just kind of an insulting punch on the way out of the clear as well. So I'm sure not appreciating that was a Heatwave, but Heatwave still does get the disc. So there we go. Now, up high to the top ramp will be taken by Neon Phoenix. Spreading the floor again, trying to look for the positioning, and just ducking below for the grab, but just the same. Do you think with a very timely grab, retained here momentarily, just out of the midst, you can see desperately reaching for the disc, unable to recover, but will still get stuck on this side of the floor. Also, hello, Vanzy, what's up? How's it going? Good to see you in the Twitch stream. See Illuminate saying, you OGs paved the ground for us. Yeah, maybe to a degree, yeah. I think that's it's appreciated, but it's also like the beauty, I guess, of now, because back in the day of original, especially ESL days and whatnot, thing is there was not a lot of footage of competitive play, whether it was scrim footage or actual league matches. As hold on, lighting a match on fire, it's Albino Paper, very flammable, tying it up here for a piece. But yes, back in pretty much the first few years of Echo, first couple years at least, 2017-18, not a lot of footage out there. Teams would be streamed once a week. Every Sunday there'd be a few. Do we got a restart or what's going on there? Apparently just a delayed joust. All right, never mind. But yeah, there would be maybe 2 or 3 matches streamed each week, only on the Sundays when those cups would be held. But other than that, there was just not a lot of information, not a lot of videos, analysis, anything like that. And that maintained for a good while. But here we go. These days, as Sydney goes for the plays, there's just so much to watch, whether at master level, bronze level, doesn't really matter. There's so much footage to study. You have the rookie boot camps, you have the pickup nights, you have plenty of coaches. I know for Team Joker, the America's champions of Season 1. I know between Dash and Ryan and oof, not finding the goal. What happened there? I'm almost tempted to unmute this just to figure it out. Okay, so all I heard was a restart, so not sure what happened. Maybe someone pressed the restart button and they weren't aware. So they'll have to figure that one out, I suppose. But there you go, timeout engaged. Gives me more time to ramble, I guess. Yeah, what was I even saying? Just that these days, the fact that in 1 week alone, in 1 week alone, we stream more matches than, with VRL or ESL. We're streaming in an entire season, and it's not even an exaggeration. Is the scary thing. Not to be, not to knock on them or anything, but I'm just that's the one thing I'm super proud of with the community work and all the volunteer casters and cameramen is that, because we are running this just fueled on, the passion and the fact that all of us who do this are players in VRML and do love the game and have played it for a very long time, that we are able to feature just on practically a daily basis more matches than ever before. So it's a lot to take in. Thermal saying, now that Echo is on Quest, there's a ton of Quest players. Imagine there's probably more Quest players than PC. Oh, no, that's pretty accurate. I mean, so Season 1 of VRML, we were dealing with roughly about 42 active teams on any given week. Some teams would take inactive weeks here and there and what have you, but pretty much it was consistently around 40 to 42 active teams every week for Season 1. In Season 2, post-Quest beta, well, we have over 140. If my count was correct, I think it's actually closer to 150 active teams now. as of this week. So definitely all the PC players who were engaged in competitive play just a few short months ago, I mean, we're outnumbered, 3 times over now. So it's no joke, the scope we're dealing with. I mean, we would have, yeah, just, it's ridiculous. The fact that we've been able to actually feature, 100 and something teams out of the 140 or 50 so far in just the first couple weeks is pretty nuts, honestly. But something to definitely be happy about. Princess also saying, once they fully release the game on Quest and start the ads for the games, I would agree that there will be more Quest players. That's the other scary part. The fact that because this is in beta, granted, obviously still a fairly publicized game for the Quest, but end of the day, it was not, at least to the best of my knowledge, it wasn't advertised actively on the store or the Quest store or anything like that. I mean, you still had to kind of search for it. And another factor as well, the fact that the Quest, along with other headsets, still remains to be pretty sold out, or at least in low supply. So, the fact that there's a lot of people kind of back-ordered on Quest who can't get their hands on Echo or VR in general, I feel like as we continue on towards the end of the year, towards Christmas, especially if they have, those holiday sales, Black Friday and whatnot, I mean, we're going to end up seeing some more adoption in big numbers, which kind of scares me, honestly, in a good way. But, man, I was expecting we might hit around 100 teams by the end of this year 3 months ago. Lo and behold, we hit 100-plus teams before the season started. So I don't even know what to expect by December, except, maybe 200, maybe even more. Who knows? All right, so I've yet to get any comms from League Org on the Discord, just checking to make sure I wasn't missing anything, because otherwise I don't have any direct communication with these teams at the moment. But yeah, nothing yet, so they're still working something out here, bringing in maybe another replacement player. I'm not really sure. Thermal a little bit earlier, talking about the fire puns making up are quite lit. Well, that's a nice pun on your end as well. Very hot, very thermal. Illuminate saying most fun I ever had was my first ever scrim with my team. And yeah, that's one of the things I do miss about playing Echo actively. I competed heavily for the first couple of years of Echo Arena. It's been about a year now since I played in a league match.
Blue team ready.
Did plenty of scrims in the fall and early winter and stuff like that, just before VRML had begun. So I guess late fall is more appropriate. But yeah, that's one of the things I do miss from time to time, for sure, is just that camaraderie, the ability to get those sweet passes off and that coordinated team play. It's kind of funny, when the Quest beta came out, some of my old teammates there, Lemming and Simeon, they got on. They were playing the Quest version, and we actually did play some matches together. But in the Quest version, and it was funny because we hadn't played for almost a year, as a team, that is, and yet it's like we never really left. There was still, we knew where each other were going to be on the floor, even without all the constant communication. We knew where to place the disc, where to place the passes. We remembered, well, for me and Lemming, how to get the regrabs off each other and boosts. We were always really good with that. For me and Simeon, we knew how to keep missing, which that was always the case. we were never the greatest on getting the regrabs among us two. But point is, it's funny how it's a little bit like riding a bike after all that time.
Orange team ready. Round starting in.
All right. Anyway, finally the continuation of round 3. Looks like they went with so 4-4, 4:30 left on the clock. Now, granted, the disc not really in the place that it should be, but we'll see how they handle that one.
Teams entering the arena.
Fancy saying, am I going to join a private tonight? I mean, someday. It's just I'm so focused on the casting and trying to get, all the teams featured and try and build up the league and stuff. I'm happy to do that too. It's all a matter of time. But there's so much happening right now, more than ever, that it's kind of hard for me to justify playing anything. Like I I don't play video games anymore, at least not during seasons. There's just no time. My energy all goes to this, and for a good reason, I think. You know, all of us love Echo Arena and the league and the direction that it's continuing to go. And no, sneaking, not saying Eclipse is coming back. I mean, it does exist. It's on the site, and right now on site for a potential goal. Unable to get that, though. Very tough angle, so good dive as we do actually get back into this game. Sorry, I was still kind of in timeout rambling mode. So we do have a match here with still 3 minutes left in this third round, and it's tied up here for a piece. Mr. Gamer with the disc going to distribute it over here to the bottom of the floor, taken here by Haley. And now with the shot just off the mark will be just Phantom, the goal. And 6 now. So there we go. 3 minutes remaining here in this particular matchup. Now let's see. Points. Okay, so just addressing White Knight there, talking about the should have been 9 points. I believe because that there was a restart called before that last score. You notice that none of 1 second, because there's going to be a score from Albino Paper, but 6 apiece here. But you notice on that one earlier, just before the timeout, no one came out to joust and grab the disc for Envy, and I feel like that's because they all hit the restart button before the catapult opened. So even though Heatwave came here and they did score off of that to make it to get some more points on the board, because the timeout was presumably called before that round had actually started, that joust had started, that's why it did not count as points. Now over here will be Neon Phoenix getting a goal off the head there of Haley instead. 8-6 now. Unfortunate whenever that happens to a goalkeeper, but will be the lead here. The rule is 45 seconds of active play or until a goal is scored. But the reset had occurred like right now, before the countdown had expired. Therefore, the other team had to reciprocate that. They were a little bit late on doing so, which is, I assume, the issue. But yeah, once a goal is scored, you can reset, and that's what the team did. They reset, I'm assuming. Not guaranteeing because I have no comms with these teams right now, but that is usually the case. It's just it looked like one team, the Heatwave, did not reset, even though they were supposed to after that first goal was scored to make it 6 apiece. Anyway, that's just what I'm rolling with. But anyways, Mr. Gamer will try to take the disc here, but it has to take it away instead. There's about a minute left. And yeah, there were a lot of comms going on between the teams. You can kind of see them actually engaging right up in here during that intermission. I just had it muted for the stream, so I'm not sure what they were talking about, but they were discussing for quite a few minutes there on what was going on. So I can only assume they worked it out. Albino Paper here, now 52 seconds remaining. It's a narrow lead for Heatwave. And they're just trying to come on back through this pocket. A big pilot forming, so trying to look for an angle, but throwing it into the deep end, and unfortunately for Heatwave, just 3 different players there. That said, none of them able to actually grab it, so this could be a big opportunity, but losing it out and up by 2 points. Going to dive on in, looking for maybe a pass down below. Well delivered, eventually wrangled by Sydney. Sydney gets the goal to go through, and that's a very clutch goal here to close this one out, it looks like, for Heatwave. 19 seconds remaining, and yeah, just no time to spare, so Heatwave coming back with a reverse sweep after, you know, admittedly several delays and some confusion, but once they got it going, you know, they got their heads in the game and they were able to finish out strong. So full credit to them as we do end this third and final round of this series. Will be 10-6. All right, I'm not hopeful that these stats are actually fixed now. We'll see. There were so many players switching in and out. It kept bugging out the stats to a degree. So that's why they look a little funky. You're going to deal with it. But what we can read from it is off this Heatwave victory was 8 points for Neon Phoenix. Definitely a strong effort with 25 stuns and 2 steals as well. Sydney contributing these 7 points, 1 assist, 1 save, 1 steal, 11 stuns. We had Albino with 4 points, 4 assists, 4 steals, and 32 stuns. And then Kip Up coming in that second round and beyond with 4 saves, 5 stuns. Meanwhile, over on Envy's side, it was Do You Think I'm a Girl with the 4 points. 3 assists, 4 steals, 41 stuns, leading the way by a decent margin over everyone else on the team. Haley with 2 points, 4 saves, 10 stuns. It's just Phantom with 2 points and 4 stuns. Mr. Gamer, 2 assists, 1 save, 25 stuns, and then Champion with 8 points. 1 save, 1 steal, 26 stuns. So, very competitive match there. Very delayed match at times, but competitive no less, and yeah, fun to watch. And for these two teams, I really do like the development as well, just across the rounds in general. It seemed like once they started getting settled down a bit, you were definitely seeing a better boosting. You were seeing some better positioning and passing. So all the way through, a very great way to come up here on stream and just kind of show off what they got. Especially, this was the first stream here for Envy, and you know, I like what I saw from them for sure. But all right, we got some more games starting up real soon. In fact, probably in the next 1 minute. So let me see what is coming up next. So 6 o'clock. Okay, so at on channel 2, I believe it will be Wolves versus Carbon being casted by Sir Dimwee, and maybe if I can get there in time, maybe by me, as that is the only match starting up right now. Then in an hour from now, we have Hydro versus Anomaly on channel 1. As well as Golden Wind and Team Mute on channel 2. So there you go. All right, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to figure out where the heck I'm going and if I can get there in time or not. So until then, I've been Palidore. That's been VRML Season 2, Week 2. Thanks for joining me. Be happy, be healthy, be safe, be good to each other. Soisy, hey yo, goodbye. See you again real soon.